How the hell you doing, YouTube? Today we're back with a brand new video. In today's video we are going to skim this hallway. So basically what you see me doing here is PVN. Usually you would start with the ceilings and work your way down onto the walls that you're going to be doing, but because the suction was so bad on the ceilings, I decided to do it the opposite way. So I started PVN the walls, and then you'll see at the end here that I PVA the two ceilings. You can see also there that I've some beads already set just there, and yeah, so this is the first video back in a while. I think it's probably been a few months or so. And basically I just haven't been doing very much work that could be filmed, but hopefully going to ramp up a little bit of what, get more stuff like this coming private houses. I'm out on my own again. My sisters went back to university, and the labour that you've seen, he's no longer with me, so yeah, basically just me on my own. So back to YouTube. So once you with the PVA, you want the PVA just about 5 or 10 minutes before you actually start skimming. So when you come to skim over the PVA, it's tacky. You can see here with obviously all the PPE on. I had a few comments in a few other videos that I should be wearing masks and gloves and such, but so I've went and got all my PPE, so no more complaining about unsafe working. Yeah, so we're going to mix up a drop of stuff here. I'm going to be up in the stilts, so I have the bucket sitting up in a crate so that I can reach it. This is only a small hit. I've only 3 yellow buckets of water in this, and it's mixed nice and soft. We're going to do both coats out of the same bucket, just because there is so little to do in the hall. So as always, we'll start from the top. We're going to work across our ceilings. We're going to get them first coated, and then we'll move on to first coating the tops of the walls. And then what I'll do this video, which is different from most other videos that I do, is that I'll second coat. I'll close the first drop of skim in, so take all the lines off it, and then I'll second coat straight over the top. Now, there's a lot of people say it should be done with 2 separate hits, and it shouldn't be done out of the same bucket, but this was the end of the day, and I needed it to get done. I didn't want to stay late, so you do it out of the same bucket, and it's obviously set like 30 minutes faster because you're not mixing up a fresh drop of stuff. So basically it's the difference between staying till 4 o'clock and staying to 5 o'clock, and if you can get home early, why not? And I've been doing this my whole career, small hits all out of the same bucket, and I've never had any comeback. British Gypsum, they state on their bags that you shouldn't do this, but the stuff that we use, Carlite Skim, it doesn't actually specify that it shouldn't, you shouldn't do this. So basically we do. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think anyway. So basically we'll get all our coating done. We'll get all our first coat done, and then we'll drop back and we'll second coat. As you can see here, we're up in the stilts, and the stilts are really handy. Obviously not for beginners, because there's a steep learning curve with them. But for you seasoned plasters, the difference between having to pull out a scaffold or kick a crate around, there's a massive difference in my opinion. I just think that the stilts are superior. You can see here now I've just went round the ceilings and now I'm going around the walls and I'm just flattening down the plaster. This is to make sure that there's no ridges show through, no bumps or lumps. And when you flatten it off like this, when you're using it the same bucket, it doesn't really make a massive difference. But when you're using it of a separate bucket, you know, if you mix two different buckets, there's a big difference. If you don't thing these lines down, they'll actually show through your next coat of plaster. And it's a pretty common mistake, not flattening the lines. It's a big one that you see in bad workmanship. So then we're just going to second coat here all the walls. We're going to second coat the ceiling, and then we're going to drop in and second coat the walls also. The second coat's just nice and tight. You know, you don't want too much of a build up because all the stuff's the same consistency. You don't want massive lumps of skim, because if it does start to set, then you'll lose it. Yeah, so we're just second coating the walls. In between these, it's hard. You can see I've got a small trowel. It's the only way to really do in between door frames like that. It's super hard, and you do need, especially for things like this, multiple tools, like small tools, and you know, everything around down the side, the right hand side of the radiator. You can see just below me there was a bit that was like an inch thick, so I had to use like a couple of different size paint scrapers to get into it. You can see now that I've jumped down off the stilts, and I'm just going to, well, it obviously cut out there, but I second coated the bottoms. And what you can see now is me just going back and flattening the second coat of plaster. So this would be called our first trowel, what plaster is called closing in. So what you're doing is you're taking all the lines off the plaster, because if you don't do it at this stage, you're going to leave this and it's going to go hard, and the lines in your plaster is going to be close to impossible to get out. And even if you do get them out, you'll see the imperfections in the finished wall where you didn't take the lines out. So this, I would say, is probably the most important trowel, is this one. And honestly, like, if you don't get this right, you're chasing your tail the rest of the time trying to get it looking good. You can see here I'm flattening the other ceiling too. Like a lot of the times with ceilings, you've seen in actually one of the other videos, I'll run ceilings, so I'll walk like back and forward across them, and then you go up and down and then left to right. But because these ceilings are so small, you don't really have that option, so you just have to make sure that you keep your trowel nice and flat and keep plenty of pressure, and you'll make sure that any lines that you'll take them out, you know. It's always a bit awkward here. You can see I'm working around the radiator. It did take a lot of work to get it right there. And then there was another wee bit here on the left hand side. There's like a wee coat rack or something in there, and it was a bit finicky working around it and trying to get it closed in. But we got it nice and flat in the end. You can see here that people ask me, you know, a lot of times I'll skim in shorts, and people ask me, like, you're not worried about, you know, damaging your skin or whatever. And I did actually take that on board, and I've started wearing shorts with spats, you know, so underneath, and that just keeps the the plaster off your skin. I started wearing a dust mask when mixing and stuff like that there. And it's definitely the way to go. Like, it's not worth, you know, dying of lung cancer because you didn't put a dust mask on for a few minutes every day. You see now, we're going to do our second trial. So this trial is what I call, this is my cutting trial. So what I do is I use a Marshalltown Prima shape, partly worn, and it's nice and blunt, so it like takes big bits of plaster off the wall. And you can see here that I'll use a brush and I'll sort of like agitate the plaster, and then I'll put lots of pressure on and I'll trowel this as hard as I can. Usually after putting on, you have to leave about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you'll close in, so your first trowel, and then leave another 5 or 10 minutes, and then you'll be going with this, our cutting trowel, and then we'll cut all the plaster. And what that does, you could probably walk away and leave it, you know, and it wouldn't look terrible. You know, it would obviously look crap, but it wouldn't look terrible. And it's nice and flat and smooth. All your bumps and humps are took out. But the plaster isn't closed in, so it's still like it's like a matte finish till the plaster at this point. And then our next trial here, that takes the matte finish off and it makes it sort of more shiny. So this trowel, this is my Rafina Superflex 2. It's an 18-inch trowel. All my trowels are big, so my trowel I used to put on the plaster, it's 18-inch. This one's an 18-inch, and then the Marshalltown in between is a 16. So they're all big trowels, and you're going to be able to see here, because of the way the light's shining on the ceiling, the difference between, like, see once I'm troweling up here again, you'll see the difference till where it's like a matte finish there, and then it sort of turns till like a sort of a shine. You can see that ceiling just behind me there. You can see the shine on it now, and that's the difference between, like, you could still get that sort of shiny finish, but instead of just one trowel after your second, so instead of this being your third trowel and you're finished, it would be your fifth trowel and you're finished. If you were just using the one trowel. So if you're taking this up, if you're young and you're wanting to learn because this is the trade that you want to take up, firstly I would say definitely don't go for plumbing, something easy where you get paid lots of money. But if you're going to do it, get yourself a few different trowels. Get yourself your Marshalltown 16-inch for putting on, then the Prima, or the 18-inch for putting on, then the 16-inch Prima shape for cutting, and then this for your flexi trowel. But that's basically the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Check out all my social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.